You're going to outlive someone you love. Maybe a parent, maybe a friend, maybe, God forbid, a child. It's going to happen. And you're going to think you understand grief. You won't, because grief is just the first part. Grief is when there's still somebody alive who remembers them with you, who can say, "Remember when," and you both nod at the same time. I was a fireman in Scranton, Pennsylvania for 25 years. I've been in this prison for 56, and I'm going to tell you something I learned that I wish I hadn't. The grief ends when the last person who shared the memory dies, and then comes the part nobody warns you about. My name is Joseph Michael Sullivan. People who knew me called me Joe. Nobody calls me anything anymore. I'm 92 years old, born September 14th, 1933, in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Same hospital my mother was born in. Same hospital my brothers were born in. Same hospital nobody from my family will ever be born in again. I've had 3 lives. The first one was Scranton. Coal town, fire department, wife, son, the whole picture. 25 years walking into burning buildings. The second life started November 8th, 1969, the night I killed a man in a bar called Tony's Tavern. I'll talk about that, but it ain't really what I'm here for. The third life is whatever this is. The waiting room, the quiet part. You see these hands? You see the dark in the skin? That ain't dirt. I've been scrubbing these hands since 1969. That's smoke. Smoke from 25 years of fires. It went into my skin and it never came out. The doctors said it would fade. They were wrong about that, like they was wrong about a lot of things. Every time I look at my hands, I see Engine Company 4. I see Eddie. I see Patrick. I see every roof I ever crawled across. I see the bar. I see all of it. Scranton in the 1950s, you couldn't find a city more alive. The whole place smelled like coal smoke and bread bakeries and the river when it ran high in the spring. My father worked the mines. My mother kept a house with 7 kids and never raised her voice once. Not once. I asked her about it when I was older, how she did it. And she just smiled and said, "Joey, my voice was for singing. The rest of them had voices for shouting." I joined the fire department in 1944. I was 11 years old when Pearl Harbor happened, too young for the war. But I remember the men who came back. Some of them didn't come back at all. Some came back wrong. The fire department took the ones who came back wrong and gave them something to do that mattered. I joined because my older brother Mickey was in it. He died in '52. Roof collapse. Engine Company 4. Same company I served in for 25 years. I met Maggie at a church dance, St. Peter's Cathedral downtown, October 1953. She was wearing a green dress because her mother was Irish, and her mother said green brought luck. She had freckles across her nose and a laugh that made grown men quiet down to listen. We got married 6 months later. We had Tommy in '55, 1 son, just the one. We tried for more, but the Lord had other plans. Here's what I want you to understand. I had a whole life. I had Maggie singing in the kitchen on Sunday mornings, making soda bread the way her mother taught her. I had Tommy running down the stairs in his pajamas yelling for me to come look at something he found in the yard. I had the bell at the firehouse. That bell, when it rang, every man jumped because lives depended on us being fast. I had a porch on Mulberry Street and a Buick that ran rough but never broke down. I had brothers who came over for cards on Friday nights. I had everything, and I didn't know I had it. That's the part that kills you. Not losing it, that's bad. But not knowing you had it while you had it, that's a different kind of pain. You want to know how I ended up here, I'll tell you. But the getting here ain't the part that matters. What matters is what came after. November 8th, 1969. 2 of my men died in a fire on Wyoming Avenue, Eddie Sweeney and Patrick Donnelly. The roof went down before I could call them out. I made the call 30 seconds late, maybe 20. 3 weeks later, I was at Tony's Tavern having a beer. A man named Danny McBride, Eddie's cousin, stood up at the bar and said, loud enough for the whole room to hear, that I was a coward, that I'd hesitated, that I'd let his cousin burn. I broke a beer bottle on the bar and I cut his throat with it. He was 31 years old. He had a 4-year-old daughter named Colleen. I knew his wife's name was Mary because she sang in the choir at St. Peter's, where me and Maggie got married. That's the whole story. That's all there is to it. The first 10 years in here, I was angry at everybody. I was angry at Danny McBride for saying what he said. I was angry at the men who didn't pull me off him. I was angry at the judge who didn't believe a fireman could snap. I was angry at God most of all. I went to the hole, solitary, 11 times in the first decade, once for 30 days. I came out of there talking to people who weren't in the room. Then I went quiet. From about 1980 to 1991, I almost didn't speak. Not because I took a vow or any holy nonsense. I just ran out of words, ran out of reasons to use them. I worked in the laundry, I ate, I slept. I read books from the prison library, Westerns mostly, and the Bible because there was always a Bible. The years went by like a train you watch from a porch. You see it going, but you ain't on it. Then a thing happened, small thing. 1991, new chaplain came in, Father Brendan Walsh, Irish like me from Pittsburgh. He noticed I never talked. Most chaplains let a quiet man stay quiet, not him. He brought me an old typewriter, a Royal from the 40s, and he set it down on the table in the chapel office and he said, "Joseph, your mouth doesn't have to work, but something inside you does. Use this." I sat at that typewriter for 2 weeks before I touched a key. Then I started writing letters. Letters to Eddie's mother, letters to Patrick's wife, letters to Danny McBride's little girl Colleen, who by then wasn't little anymore. I never sent any of them, not for years. I just wrote them and put them in a folder and wrote more. You want to know when I changed? I can tell you the exact week. Spring of 1998, 29 years in. I was writing a letter to Colleen McBride for maybe the 400th time, and I stopped and I realized I wasn't writing to ask for forgiveness anymore. I was just telling her about her father, the man I knew before that night, the cousin Eddie talked about all the time at the firehouse, the man who used to bring his daughter to the Memorial Day parade. That was the change. The day I stopped wanting something from the dead and started just remembering them. The day I stopped owning my anger and the anger stopped owning me. It didn't feel like sunrise. It felt more like fog lifting off the river. Slow, so slow you don't see it moving. And then one morning, you can see across to the other bank. Let me tell you what I learned. 4 things. I've been working on these for 56 years. They might not seem like much to you, but these 4 things are everything I got. The first thing, Maggie died in 2003. I knew it was coming. She'd been sick for a year. The chaplain came and told me on a Tuesday morning in March. I cried for 3 days. I expected that. What I didn't expect was what came after the crying stopped. A week after Maggie's funeral, I was sitting in the yard and I tried to remember the song she used to sing on Sunday mornings, the one her mother taught her, and I couldn't remember the words, and I realized there was nobody left alive who knew that song. Her sister had died in 94, her mother in 78. Maggie was the last one who knew it, and now Maggie was gone. And it hit me, sitting there in that yard. Grief comes in 2 parts. The first part is losing the person. Everybody knows about that part. They write songs about that part. The second part is when you lose the only other person who could remember them with you. When the last witness dies, that's when grief becomes something else. Something there ain't a word for in any language I know. Now you listen to me. If you got people in your life who knew you when, who remember the things you remember, you sit with them. You write down the stories, you record the voices, you don't wait. Memory is the only thing in this world that can be killed by time alone. And once it's dead, no doctor and no priest and no God can bring it back. The second thing, in 2007, I finally sent one of those letters, the one to Colleen McBride. She was 42 years old. I'd been writing to her for 16 years and never sent a single one. She wrote back. She said her mother had told her when she was little that her daddy died in a fight. That was all she knew. She said for years she'd hated whoever did it. She said by the time she was 30, she'd stopped hating because hating a stranger gets tiring. She said she didn't forgive me. She wanted me to know that, but she said she was glad to know who her father was. She said the part where I described him at the firehouse with her. She said she'd never had a memory of him at all, and now she had one. We wrote each other for 11 years. She came to visit me in 2014, sat across this same table. She didn't hug me, she didn't smile much, but before she left, she put her hand on the table, palm down, the way her father used to do at the bar, she told me. And she said, I came so I could tell you in person. I'm not forgiving you, but I'm not carrying it anymore. That was the closest thing to forgiveness I ever got, and it came 38 years late, and it was enough. If there is somebody you owe an apology to, somebody real, somebody alive, you do it now, today. Not the apology you think they want to hear, the real one, the one where you don't ask for nothing back. Because the cruelest math in the world is this: somebody dies, and the apology you were saving for the right moment turns into a stone you carry for the rest of your life. The third thing, I'm the last one. From Engine Company 4, 1958 to 1969, 11 years of men, 23 names. I'm the only one still breathing. I'm the last man alive who can tell you what the firehouse smelled like on a winter morning, the coffee in that big metal pot, the wax on the floor, the way Eddie Sweeney used to whistle through his teeth when he was nervous, the way Patrick Donnelly always carried a Saint Florian medal in his left boot, never the right. You think about a museum. A museum is a building full of things people keep so they don't disappear. Well, I'm a museum, a whole museum of people and places and small ways of doing things. And nobody comes to visit, nobody asks. The exhibits are inside my head, and when I close my eyes for the last time, the museum closes too. That's the weight of being the last witness. It ain't loneliness exactly. It's bigger than that. It's being the only librarian of a library nobody else can read. Listen, there is an old person in your life right now. Maybe a grandmother, maybe a neighbor, maybe just a man at the bus stop with the look in his eyes that says he's seen things. You go talk to that person. You ask him about the small stuff, not the big history book stuff. Ask them what their kitchen smelled like. Ask them what song their father whistled. Ask them the name of the boy who sat next to him in second grade. You let them open their museum for you, because once they're gone, that museum is gone, and all the asking in the world won't bring it back. The fourth thing, the last one. I was a fireman for 25 years. You learn things about fire that most people never learn. The first thing they teach you is the triangle. Fuel, heat, oxygen. Take any one of the three away, the fire dies. You can pour all the water you want, but if the fuel keeps coming and the oxygen keeps coming, that fire's gonna find a way to live. I spent the first 10 years in here trying to put out my anger with water. Prayer was my water. Books was my water. The chaplain's words was my water. None of it worked. Fire kept burning. And then one day I figured it out. I wasn't supposed to fight the fire. I was supposed to stop feeding it. I had to stop bringing fuel to my own anger every morning, stop bringing the same memories, stop bringing the same words Danny McBride said to me in that bar. I had to let the fuel run out, and once the fuel was gone, the fire just went down on its own, like all fires do when there's nothing left to burn. This is the truest thing I know. Whatever is burning in your life right now, anger, bitterness, regret, the thing you can't let go of, you ain't gonna put it out with water. You gotta stop feeding it. Stop telling yourself the story that keeps it alive. Stop bringing new wood. The fire don't want to die. Fires never want to die, but if you starve it long enough, it always does. A fireman could have told you that 50 years ago. It just took me 50 years to listen to myself. I keep a list. I've been keeping it since 1991. The chaplain gave me a notebook the same week he gave me the typewriter. I write down every name, every person I knew who has died. I write the year they was born and the year they passed, and one thing about them that nobody else would remember. Just one thing. Eddie Sweeney, born 1934, died 1969. Whistled through his teeth when he was nervous. Patrick Donnelly, born 1939, died 1969, carried a Saint Florian medal in his left boot. Mickey Sullivan, my brother, born 1928, died 1952, could juggle 3 potatoes at the dinner table when our mother wasn't looking. There are 287 names in that notebook. 287. I read every name out loud every night before I sleep. It takes me about 18 minutes. The young guards think I'm praying. I let them think that, but it ain't a prayer. It's the only place those people still exist. Once a day for 18 minutes, in cell 14B of a prison in Pennsylvania, 287 people are alive again. They get to be remembered out loud by somebody who knew them. And then I close the notebook and they go back to wherever the dead go when nobody's looking for them. I used to be afraid of dying. Most of my life I was afraid of it. A fireman sees death up close and gets afraid of it. But I ain't afraid no more. You want to know why? Because Maggie's in that notebook, and Eddie, and Patrick, and my mother, and my father, and my brother, and the chaplain, and the men I came in with, and a kid named Joey Marconi, who shined shoes outside the firehouse in 1958 for a nickel. They're all in there. And the day I die, somebody's gonna throw that notebook in the trash, and then we all disappear together, all 288 of us at the same time, in the same minute. That don't sound like dying to me. That sounds like going home with my friends. If I could tell my younger self one thing, it would be this. Being the last one is the loneliest cell they ever built. Don't wait until you're the last one to learn what the others were worth.